Most people think paying off their car means financial freedom. They're wrong. Paying off your car is when the real drain begins, and in the next 20 minutes, I'll show you exactly why. Watch closely right now. You make that final payment, the bank sends confirmation. The title arrives in the mail weeks later, you hold it in your hands and feel something change. A weight lifts. You think the hard part is finally over? For 5 years, 6 years, maybe 7, that monthly payment was a fixed cost, $400, $500, maybe $6. Every month gone, automatic, untouchable. Now suddenly that money is yours. Or so it feels right now. You start doing the math in your head. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. In 10 years, $60,000, you picture vacations, a house down payment, an emergency fund finally built. The future opens up. You promise yourself this time will be different. This time you'll actually save it, invest it, build something real with it. You've earned this after years of payments. This free cash belongs to you completely, finally, undeniably. And here's the cruel part. You mean it. You genuinely intend to redirect that money. You're not lying to yourself in some obvious way. You actually plan to use this windfall wisely. The intention is completely real, but intention is not the same as system. And without a system, what happens next is so predictable it could be written into law. Your bank account will absorb that money like a sponge absorbs water. Within 90 days, you won't be able to point to where it went. Within 6 months, you'll feel like nothing actually changed. Within 2 years, you'll be staring at a depreciating asset, somehow more broke than before. This is not a story about you being weak. This is not a story about discipline. This is a story about a behavioral mechanism so quiet, so invisible, that 90% of people never even see it operating. The financial industry knows about this mechanism. Car dealers know about it. Lenders build their business model around it. But almost nobody teaches it to consumers because there's no money in teaching you to keep your money. Let me give you a number first. The average household that pays off a car keeps less than 30% of that free payment in savings or investments after 24 months. Less than 30? Think about that. Where does the rest go? Not to anything memorable. Not to a single big purchase you could point to. It evaporates. $20 here, $40 there, a slightly nicer dinner, an upgraded subscription, a small indulgence. By month 18, you have nothing to show for it. Worse, you've forgotten it was ever supposed to be different. The $500 a month feels like it just merged into your normal expenses, your normal life. Meanwhile, the car you paid off is now 5, 6, 7 years older than when you first financed it. Maintenance is climbing, repair bills are arriving. The dealer is sending letters about trading up. The cycle resets. So today we're going to dissect this. We're going to look at exactly what happens to your money the moment that final payment clears. The mental shifts, the behavioral defaults, the hidden traps, all of it plainly. And by the end, you'll have one specific rule. One single move you can make on the same day your loan ends that completely breaks this pattern. A rule so simple you'll wonder why nobody told you. But before we get to the fix, you need to understand why this happens. Because if you don't understand the mechanism, you'll fall back into it the next time you pay off any debt or any loan. Let's start with the moment itself, the final payment. You probably remember the day you signed for the car. The weight of that signature, the sense that you just committed years of future income to one metal object. Paying it off is the mirror image of that moment. The release, the exhale. And in that exhale, something happens to your brain that researchers have been studying for decades. It's called the free payment effect. When a recurring obligation ends, your brain doesn't categorize the free money as new income. It categorizes it as relief. Relief is not the same as a raise. Relief feels like permission to spend, not save. If your boss had walked into your office one morning and given you a $500 a month raise, you would treat that money very differently. You'd budget it, plan it, allocate it, maybe even invest it, but freed payment money doesn't get that treatment. It gets absorbed into your existing checking account mixed with everything else, and your brain treats it as breathing room, as cushion, as the slack you've been waiting for. And once money becomes cushion, it gets spent, not consciously, not deliberately, but through 1,000 tiny upward adjustments to your normal spending. Your grocery bill creeps, your dining bill creeps, everything just gets a little easier. This is the trap, and it starts the moment you celebrate. Now let me show you exactly what your brain is telling you in those first weeks, because the lie it whispers is the most dangerous part of this. In those first weeks after paying off the car, your brain runs a story. The story sounds responsible. The story sounds disciplined. The story is what makes you feel like you've got this handled. But the story is wrong. Here's the story. You think to yourself, I'm going to take that $500 a month and finally start investing seriously. Maybe a Roth IRA, maybe a brokerage account, maybe just a high yield savings account somewhere good. You picture yourself doing it. You picture the account growing. You picture compound interest doing its quiet work over the next decade. You feel proud of the future you, the disciplined version, the one who follows through. Or maybe your story is different. Maybe you tell yourself you'll use the money to attack other debt. Pay down the credit card faster, crush the student loan, knock out the medical bill, snowball your way to freedom, or maybe the story is about lifestyle. You promise yourself a single justified upgrade, a nicer apartment, a small renovation, a real vacation, the kind you put off for years because the car payment was always there. Here's what's actually happening. None of those stories are going to play out. Not because you lack willpower, not because you're irresponsible, but because you never made the structural decision required to make any of them happen. You believe that the absence of the car payment would create the saving automatically, as if the money would just sit there waiting patiently and you'd scoop it into the right place when you got around to it. That is not how money works. Money is not patient. Money does not wait. Unstructured cash flow gets absorbed by whatever container it lands in, and your checking account is the most absorbent container in the entire financial system. The moment that $500 enters your checking account without an immediate exit route, it stops being $500. It becomes ambient. It becomes background. It becomes part of the noise of your daily money flow. You don't see it. You don't feel it. You don't make a single conscious decision about it. And yet somehow by the end of the month, the balance is the same as it always was, as if nothing changed. This is the first lie. The lie that says intention will translate into action without a system. The lie that says responsible thinking is enough. The lie that says you'll do it later when things settle and calm. Things never settle down. Life never calms down. There is no later. There is only now, the moment that final payment clears and what you set up automatically in that exact window. After that window closes, absorption begins. The second lie is more subtle. It's the lie that you deserve a small reward. After all, you just paid off a car. That's a real accomplishment. Surely a few months of enjoying the free cash won't ruin anything. Here's the problem with that lie. Those few months establish a new baseline. Your brain learns what life feels like with that extra cash flowing through it. Once the baseline is set, taking the money back feels wrong. Loss aversion is one of the strongest forces in human psychology. We hate losing things we already have far more than we love gaining things we don't. So once you've enjoyed free cash for 3 months, redirecting feels like punishment. By month 4, you can't bring yourself to start that automatic transfer to investments. It would mean cutting back. It would mean restricting yourself. It would mean returning to the constrained life you just escaped. So you don't. Month 5 passes, month 6, the window has closed. The free money has been quietly woven into your lifestyle, and the version of you that was going to start investing seriously now exists only in your memory. The third lie is the most dangerous of all. It's the lie that since the car is paid off, you're now in a better financial position by definition, as if the act of paying it off automatically improved your finances. It didn't. Paying off the loan eliminated a liability, which is good, but it did not create an asset. It did not build wealth. It did not move you forward. It only stopped you moving backward in one specific way. Wealth requires positive action. Wealth requires money flowing into productive places. A paid-off car is not productive. It's a depreciating chunk of metal sitting in your driveway losing value every month, regardless of whether you drive it or not. So if the free payment doesn't get redirected into something that builds, you're not wealthier, you're just less indebted. And being less indebted while doing nothing productive with the free cash flow is a financial standstill, not progress. The fourth lie is quietly destructive. It's the lie that your old car will keep running fine for years to come, so you don't need to think about replacement. So the free payment can flow into other things without consequence. Cars don't work that way. The years between 5 and 10 are when major systems start to fail. Transmissions, suspensions, electrical components. The repair bills that were rare in years 1 through 4 become routine in years 6 through 9. And those repair bills come at the worst possible moment. Right when you stop budgeting for the car, right when the free payment has been absorbed into other spending, right when you have no replacement fund building, trap snaps. So now we've covered the lies. Now let's look at what actually happens day by day, week by week, in the real life of a person who just paid off their car. Because the pattern is the same for almost everyone. Day one, the payment clears. You take a screenshot, text a friend, maybe post about it, genuine joy. You walk through your house feeling lighter. You think about the trip, the savings, the future opening up right now. Week one, you haven't done anything yet, but you've been thinking about it. Maybe you opened a tab to research investment accounts. Maybe you bookmarked a high-yield savings page. The intention is alive, the action has not begun. Week two, life happens, a friend's birthday. A work deadline, a small home repair. You don't have time to research the right investment vehicle right now. You'll do it next weekend. The tab gets closed, bookmark stays buried. Week three, you notice your checking account balance is slightly higher than usual, not dramatically, just a comfortable cushion. You don't move the money. You think I'll wait until next month, see what the new normal looks like? Week four, the first full month with no car payment ends, you look at your spending. It's about the same as before, maybe slightly higher. You think that's strange? Where did the extra money go? You don't investigate. Month two, you notice the grocery bill is a little higher. You bought the better olive oil. You added a few extra items to the cart without thinking about price. Small upgrades, each one $15, $20, forgettable all month three. Your dining out has increased, not in frequency, just in tier. The same restaurants, but now you order an appetizer too. The same coffee shop, but now the larger size. None of these decisions feel like decisions. Month four, you upgrade 2 subscriptions, the streaming service to the no ads tier, the fitness app to premium. Each upgrade is small, $5, $10 together with the food creep, you're now $30 to $40 over baseline. Month five, a travel opportunity comes up. You say yes more easily than you would have a year ago. The flights are not cheap, but they're manageable. You don't track the cost against the free payment. It feels affordable. Month six, you buy something for the house you've been putting off. A new chair, a small appliance, a piece of art. You pay cash, no debt added. It feels responsible, it feels deserved, it feels completely justified given everything. Month seven, you realize without alarm that your savings account hasn't grown the way you planned. You make a mental note to start the automatic transfer next month. The note gets buried under everything else. Next month never arrives. Month eight, the car needs new tires. You pay out of pocket, no big deal since you have no payment. You don't notice that this expense would have triggered an emergency fund check. There's no emergency fund being built. Month nine, you catch yourself looking at newer cars, not seriously. Just browsing, the dealer where you bought the original car sends you a personalized letter. They've been waiting for this exact moment in your ownership cycle. They know month 10. The maintenance light comes on, a $600 repair. You pay it without flinching because there's no payment. You don't realize that without a system, every repair just absorbs into the same checking account. No replacement month 11. You take that vacation you promised yourself. You spend more than planned because you have the room. You return refreshed and tell yourself, this was the whole point of paying off the car to enjoy this. The system doing this is called payment substitution behavior. When a fixed expense ends, your spending naturally rises to refill the slot, not because you decided to, because your behavioral default silently expanded to absorb the cash. Behavioral economists have documented this pattern in dozens of studies. The freed money does not stay free. It gets reabsorbed within 90 to 120 days. The only people who escape it set up structural redirects first. The freed money gets reabsorbed within 90 to 120 days. That's the window. After that window closes, the new spending baseline is locked. Reversing it requires conscious sacrifice most won't do. So everything we've described, the small grocery upgrades, the subscription bumps, the easier yes to travel, the cash purchases for the house, all of it is your behavior expanding to feel the freed slot invisible because it's distributed. If the freed money had disappeared in one big purchase, you'd notice it, you'd remember it. You could even regret it. But because it disappeared in 1,000 tiny adjustments, none of which felt like decisions, you can't trace it. This is what makes payment substitution so dangerous. It's untraceable from the inside. The only way to see it is to compare the version where the redirect happened to the version where it didn't. By then, it's too late. Now, stay with me here, because this gets worse. The car itself is also working against you in this same window. Every month you don't replace it, the maintenance probability increases. Every month, the resale value drops. Math grinds quietly. By month 12, you have a depreciating asset, no replacement fund, no investment account, no savings growth, and a lifestyle that has expanded to a level it would normally take a meaningful raise to support, not richer. Exposed. Let me show you the second part of the system, because payment substitution is only half of what's happening. The other half involves the automotive industry itself and a strategy called the recapture loop. This one is intentional, targeted. Car manufacturers and dealers know exactly when your loan ends. They have the data, they know the make, the model, the year, the financing date, the payoff date. The moment your loan closes, you enter a new marketing segment. Within 60 days of your final payment, you will start receiving communications, mailers, emails, phone calls, text messages, each one carefully timed and worded. The message is always the same. You're a valued customer. Time to upgrade. The offer will sound generous. They'll mention your loyalty. They'll offer a trade-in value that seems above market. They'll dangle a low monthly payment on a newer vehicle. They'll frame it as smart, as deserved, as the natural step. Here's the thing. They're not telling you the new monthly payment is structured to be roughly the same as the one you just paid off. Not a coincidence. They've targeted that exact amount because they know you can absorb it. They know your behavioral baseline expanded to absorb the free cash. They know that going back to the original payment level will feel neutral, not painful. So they offer a payment that fits perfectly into the slot you just freed. And because your lifestyle has already absorbed the free money, taking on a new payment of the same size doesn't actually feel like a step backward. It feels like a sideways move. You're not losing anything. You're just trading. So you trade, the new car comes home, you feel that initial joy, the new car smell, the dashboard you've never sat behind. And in that moment, you have just reset the entire cycle. You signed up for years, but it's worse than a reset because the new car costs more than the old car. The financing terms are longer. The interest is structured differently, and the depreciation hit you take in the first year alone is over 20%. You walked into the dealership thinking you were upgrading from a paid-off asset. You walked out having converted that paid-off asset into the down payment on a new liability. The dealer now has you back on the loan treadmill. This is the recapture loop. It's the closing trap that catches everyone who didn't set up the redirect during the 90-day window after payoff. Once your behavioral baseline expanded to absorb free cash, the recapture offer becomes irresistible. Now let's add the third element, hedonic adaptation. This one is biological, not financial. Your brain adapts to its current circumstances within a few weeks. Whatever you have, you stop noticing. Whatever you don't have starts feeling necessary. So once your spending has expanded to absorb the free payment, your brain treats that new spending level as the new normal. Cutting back to the old level feels like deprivation. The old life feels small. Going back is painful. This is why people who pay off cars without a redirect almost never go back to investing the free cash later. The window passed, the new baseline locked, the brain adapted. Reversing requires sustained discomfort. Most people will not do it. The fourth element is the maintenance cliff. Cars have a fairly predictable curve. Years 1 through 4, low maintenance costs, years 5 through 7, rising costs, years 8 through 10, sharp increases, years 10 plus. You roll dice. Most people pay off their cars somewhere between year 5 and year 7 of ownership. So the moment you free up the payment is also the moment you enter the rising cost portion of the curve. The two events overlap. Exactly. Without a replacement fund being built from the free payment, every major repair feels like an emergency. A $2,000 transmission flush, a $1,500 suspension job, these hits land in a system that has no buffer. So you put them on a credit card, or you finance the repair. Or you start thinking, maybe it's just time for a new car. The repair becomes the trigger. The recapture loop catches you, cycle resets. Put all 4 elements together. Payment substitution absorbs the freed cash silently. Hedonic adaptation locks in the new baseline. The maintenance cliff creates pressure to upgrade. The recapture loop offers the perfect new payment. Fitting the slot, game over. None of these elements requires you to be financially irresponsible. None of them requires bad decisions. They only require you to do nothing different. They require you to let the absence of the payment be the only thing changed. And almost everyone does exactly that. Because the alternative requires you to make a structural decision in the first 30 days before the absorption begins, before the baseline shifts, before the recapture offers arrive. Most don't know that window. Here's the one move that breaks the entire cycle. The same day your loan ends, set up an automatic transfer from checking to an investment account on the same date for the same amount your payment was. Locked, same date, same amount. Automatic. Before any of it touches your day-to-day cash flow, before your brain has a chance to register the freed money as relief, before your behavioral baseline has time to expand. Redirect before absorption. This single move neutralizes payment substitution because the cash flow never actually frees up. You feel as if the car payment just changed destinations. The money still leaves your account on the same day in the same amount. The investment account it goes into could be a Roth IRA, could be a brokerage account, could be a high-yield savings account if you're risk averse. The vehicle matters less than the structural redirect itself. The redirect is everything. By keeping the cash flow constant, you preserve the exact lifestyle baseline you had during the loan years. No expansion, no new normal, no hedonic adaptation. The spending discipline you develop while paying off the car continues automatically, effortlessly, silently. And here's the key part. Hedonic adaptation works in your favor when the baseline doesn't shift. You never adjust it to having extra money so you don't feel the absence of it. The redirect feels invisible because there's no contrast point. Meanwhile, the investment account starts building. $500 a month invested at a 7% annualized return becomes about $86,000 over 10 years. Over 15 years, about $150,000. Over 20 years, $260,000, that is the cost of the absorbed free payment. That is what gets quietly destroyed by 90 days of inaction. $260,000 over 20 years, traded for a marginally better grocery bill and an upgraded subscription. Now contrast that with the recapture path. You take the dealer's offer. You finance a new car for $60,000 over 6 years. You pay another $15,000 in interest, plus first-year depreciation, plus maintenance, plus higher insurance. By the end of the new loan, you've spent roughly $80,000 on a car now worth $25,000. And during that same 6 years, your investment account, had you set up the redirect, instead built about $47,000. The total swing between the two paths, redirect versus recapture, is well over $100,000 in just 6 years. Extended across 20 years and multiple vehicles, and the gap is $500,000 or more easily. Most people will never see that arithmetic because the choice doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like a series of small, reasonable decisions made over time. The grocery upgrade, the subscription bump, the dealer offer that came at perfect timing. None of those decisions felt like they were costing $500,000. They felt like normal life. They felt like the natural reward for having paid off a car. They felt like the freedom you'd earned. That's why it works. Now, I want to address one more thing because somebody listening is going to push back. They'll say, what if I do want to enjoy the free payment? What if I don't want to redirect every dollar into investments? That's not wrong, but here's the discipline. Decide in advance on paper exactly what percentage of the free payment goes to the redirect and what percentage goes to lifestyle. 80-20, 70, 30, whatever feels honest. Decide before, not after, because the moment the absorption begins, your brain will not negotiate fairly. It will rationalize, it will defer, it will tell you the redirect can wait. The only way to win is to make the structural decision before it lands. The redirect doesn't have to be the entire payment. It just has to be automatic, immediate, and unchangeable without you actively going in to stop it. That asymmetry is the entire game. Default action wins, required action loses, always. So if you're paying off a car this year, set the redirect today. Open the account today. Schedule the transfer for the day after your final loan payment clears. Same amount, same date. Same automation. Lock it in early. If you've already paid off a car and the absorption already happened, you're not lost. You can still set up the redirect now. It will feel harder because your baseline shifted, but you can walk yourself back over 3 months. Cut spending by 1/3 of the redirect amount each month. Month 1, redirect a third. Month 2, redirect 2/3. Month 3, redirect the full amount. By month 4, your brain readapts and the redirect feels normal again. And one more thing, when the dealer letters start arriving, when the trade-in offers come in, when the upgrade temptation hits, run this single test. Ask yourself, would I take out a $60,000 loan today from scratch? If the honest answer is no, then the offer is not actually a good deal. It's just a familiar payment fitting into a familiar slot. Familiarity is not value. The dealer is selling you the comfort of returning to the treadmill. The whole point of paying off a car is to break the treadmill, not to step off it briefly and then step right back on with the newer model. The exit is the redirect. The redirect is the exit, nothing else. So here's what I want you to take from this. The day you pay off your car is not the day you become wealthier. It's the day you face a decision, redirect, and build something real. Or absorb and reset. Most people absorb. That's why most people decades into their working lives are still driving finance cars and still wondering why the free payments never seem to help them get ahead. The absorption is invisible from the inside. Always. You now know what they don't know. You see the mechanism. You understand the window. You have the rule. The redirect is the difference between paid off and actually wealthier. Set it up before the free money ever lands. If this video helped you see the trap clearly, hit subscribe. The next one breaks down the same hidden mechanism for paid off mortgages, where the absorbed payment is even larger and the recapture loop runs through realtors. See you there.